My husband spent $160,000 investing in baseball cards without telling me. During this same time, he would get mad at me for spending money on meal plans or salon services. I would get yelled at for my disrespectful spending and my financial goals not aligning with his, so he'd say. He did most of this spending on his personal credit card that he paid for with our joint account. For a long time, I didn't have access to our online banking, so I didn't see the amounts he was paying on his credit card. Whenever I would question a $2 or $4,000 payment, he would have some excuse and usually would say it was on the family or grocery store. He would refuse to show me his statements. One day, driving to lunch, he mentioned how my friends owed him for the concert tickets I had used his card to buy. I agreed to get the money from them. In mentioning the card, though, I remember just seeing another $4,000 payment come out of our joint. This was after 2 months ago when he promised he had a $2,000 balance and was going to pay it off and stop using it. So I asked, I thought it was going to be paid off a couple of months ago. That was all it took. He launched into me about how I ruin everything. We can't just enjoy the day. This is why my relationships never work, on, and dropped me back off at our house and left. It was this outburst that made me realize there was more going on. After lots of back and forth and digging and finally getting him to give me access to his credit card statements, I added up $160,000 in 3 years that he spent. I already realized the financial abuse that has taken place on many levels, and there is so much I'm not including. During all of this, my husband met with a divorce lawyer, then begged me for another chance. That was about a year ago. We are still together, but as you can imagine, the financial issues are only one of many issues we have. At the time I realized what he had spent and that I was so ill-prepared for a divorce, I started transferring money from our joint to my personal every month. My goal, over time, is to take my half back, $80K, and invest how I want to. He was, of course, mad, but I basically said, oh, well, he should have considered me when he spent it, and I was only correcting a wrong. Recently, he made sure the money wasn't in the account when my transfer was scheduled. He did this 2 months in a row and said I could no longer do this. I waited for the money to be there and did the transfer anyway. He went nuts, telling me I'm a rat, he's selling the house, dissolving our business, etc., etc. He says that it's wrong for me to go tit for tat and that I should let it go. The money is just sitting in my account as I have not spent any of it. Am I the jerk for trying to take my half back over time? Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. This reads like an OP desperately hoping some strangers will tell them it's okay to go get a divorce. Break the silence, OP. Talk to your family and friends. Reach out to people. He was happy to use your money for what he wanted and abuse you for your small purchases. Get out and be free. Make sure there aren't other debts in your name. Talk to a lawyer, lock down your money, write up a will. Comment 2. Open a new account and have any money you make deposited there instead of the joint account. Get a lawyer ASAP, file for divorce. He is continuing the financial abuse, not the idiot. Now for the update, thanks for all the comments on my last post. Things have escalated since then. Just when I thought things couldn't get worse, they did. My husband, let's call him Mr. Moneybags, decided to throw a curveball my way. He sold some of those precious baseball cards and bought himself a brand new sports car. A slap in the face, really, considering he'd been lecturing me about frivolous spending. The hypocrisy of it all made my blood boil. But that wasn't the end of it. Mr. Moneybags had been acting strange, more secretive than usual. I had a hunch and decided to follow him one evening. Turns out he was meeting with someone, a woman, at a fancy restaurant, the kind of place he'd never take me. I watched them from a distance, laughing and sharing a meal. It was clear this wasn't a business meeting. My heart sank, but I was also furious. How dare he? I confronted him when he got home. He tried to lie his way out of it, but I had seen enough. He finally admitted to an affair, said it didn't mean anything, that it was just a fling, as if that made it any better. I felt betrayed, but more than that, I felt a fire inside me. I was done being the victim. I had been squirreling away money, but now I needed a plan. I couldn't just sit back and let him control everything. So I did something bold. I took half of the money from our business account. It was a move that would change everything. He was furious, of course, but I was past caring about his anger. Then the business started to suffer. Clients were leaving, and I found out why. Mr. Moneybags had been bad-mouthing me to anyone who would listen, trying to ruin my reputation. He was trying to turn my world upside down, but I wasn't going to let him. I reached out to our clients, told them my side of the story. Many of them knew me, trusted me, and they started to come back. It was a small victory, but it felt good. It felt like I was taking back control of my life. But Mr. Moneybags wasn't done yet. He threatened to take me to court, to fight for every penny. He said he'd make sure I was left with nothing. I knew I had to be smart about this. I couldn't let emotions get the best of me. I gathered evidence, the credit card statements, the affair, everything. I was ready to fight back, and then an opportunity presented itself. Mr. Moneybags had a secret, something he'd been hiding from everyone. He had made a bad investment, one that could ruin him financially if it came out. I had a choice to make. I could use this information to destroy him, or I could try to settle things more amicably. It was a test of my true loyalties. Did I want revenge, or did I want to move on with my life? In the end, I chose to confront him. I told him I knew about the investment. I saw the fear in his eyes. He knew he was caught. We came to an agreement. He would give me a fair settlement, and I would keep his secret. It wasn't about revenge anymore. It was about starting fresh. I used the settlement to pay off my debts and invest in something I believed in. I started my own business, something I had always wanted to do. It wasn't easy, but I was finally free from Mr. Moneybags and his lies. And then one day, I heard the news. Mr. Moneybags' bad investment had come out. He was ruined. I felt a twinge of satisfaction, but mostly I felt indifferent. I had moved on, and his downfall was of his own making. Thanks for reading. Ex-wife cheats and has another man's child. But when she loses her job and begs for help, I take full custody and leave her to fend for herself. The mother of my two children, 10-year-old male and 9-year-old female, cheated on me during our marriage and became pregnant with another man's child. I learned this when I caught her with the man in question, and after questioning her, she admitted there was a strong chance he was the father of the baby she was pregnant with. I ended our marriage right there and took a DNA test when her youngest was born, and she was not mine. So in the divorce, custody and support were only factored in for our two kids. I paid some child support because I made more than her, but we had 50 custody time with the kids, and I remained an involved dad. My ex lived with her youngest child's father in October of last year when he took off without a word and disappeared from their lives. She has been pursuing child support ever since, but he cannot be found, and he quit the last known job he had, so she has been unsuccessful so far. This has led to her struggling, and I buy more for the kids we share so they don't suffer because of the failed relationship with the affair partner. Last month, my ex told me she was struggling to keep up with the expenses for her youngest child, and she asked me if I would maybe buy some stuff that included her too. I said no, that I was responsible for my kids, and I would not become financially responsible in any way for the child she made while cheating on me. She begged and told me they will have different lives if I don't help, at least for now, and I told her that was not my problem, and maybe she'll think about that in the future before she starts an ongoing affair. She told our kids about asking me and encouraged them to ask me for things for their half-sister. The kids were confused because they have always known their half-sister is not my child, but they started to doubt because of how their mom talked, saying good men take care of all their children, and loving a child who is part of your family should never be that hard. The kids approached me and asked me about it and told me their mom wanted them to ask me for things for their half-sister. So I explained to them that she is not my child or part of my family, but she is still part of theirs. They asked why, since my oldest has some memories of his mom and I being together while she was pregnant. I said their mom got pregnant with their half-sister while we were together, but DNA proved she was not mine and I did not raise her for that reason. I told them I am still their dad, and nothing has changed, but I was never really their half-sister's dad and don't want to buy her things like I do for them. They understood, and when they went back to their moms, she called and cursed me out for telling the kids more details than she wanted them to know. I said they had always been aware they had a different dad to her other child, and that needed to remain clear because I was not claiming her now that her father has abandoned her. She called me a cruel jerk. Am I the idiot? Now for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. This is a terrible situation for children. They shouldn't be involved in any issues between their parents. So you're stuck either looking like the bad guy for not telling them why you are treating their sibling differently, or you have to buy into the dynamic of telling your children information that isn't any of their business at ages 9 and 10. Not the idiot for not wanting to support a child that isn't yours. And not the idiot for telling your kids the hopefully age-appropriate truth. Comment 2, not the idiot. I'm not a lawyer, but have read some articles where a non-biological parent can be made financially responsible if they have a record of supporting the child. For that reason alone, I wouldn't increase support. Your ex is awful for involving your kids in her troubles. She created this issue, she needs to deal with it. Now for the update, thanks for sticking around for more on this mess. So the situation with my ex took a turn for the worse. She lost her job last week, and things spiraled from there. She's been struggling to make ends meet, and it's been tough on the kids. They've been coming to my place with clothes that don't fit right and looking like they haven't had a decent meal in days. It's been eating me up inside, but I've been firm on not supporting her other child. In the midst of all this, my daughter's birthday was coming up. I planned a small party for her, just family and a couple of close friends. But then my ex hit me with a surprise. She couldn't afford a gift for our daughter. She asked if I could get an extra gift and say it was from her. It was a low blow, using our daughter's birthday to guilt me. I bought the gift, but I made sure my daughter knew it was from me. Now here's where things got really complicated. My son, bless his heart, decided he wanted to help his mom. He started selling some of his toys to raise money for his half-sister. When I found out, I was torn between pride for his generosity and frustration that he felt this was his responsibility. I sat him down and explained that it's not his job to take care of his mom's finances, but he just said he wanted to help his sister. Then the landlord of my ex's place called me. He knows me from when we were married and thought I should know that she was behind on rent. He was considering eviction. I was caught in a tough situation. If she got evicted, where would my kids go on her custody days? I made a decision. I paid her rent. Just once, I told myself. But when she found out, she accused me of trying to control her life. She said I was using my money to show her up. It was the opposite of what I expected. I was trying to help for my kids' sake, but she twisted it into something ugly. The final straw came when my ex's car broke down. She had no way to get to job interviews or take the kids to school. She asked me to drive her around. I refused. I have my own job, my own life. I couldn't be her chauffeur. She took a risk and borrowed a car from a friend, a car she wasn't insured to drive. And as luck would have it, she got into an accident. No one was hurt, thank goodness, but the car was totaled, and now she's facing a lawsuit from the car's owner and the other party involved. The kids are with me full-time now while she sorts out her mess. They're confused and upset, and I'm just trying to keep things stable for them. I never wanted it to come to this. I wanted to be the good guy, but it feels like every move I make just backfires. Thanks for reading. It's been a rough ride. My fiance's daughter lied to the school about not knowing me, so I exposed her deception and taught her a lesson in honesty that she'll never forget. I, 38-year-old male, got engaged to my fiance, 37-year-old female, about 3 months ago. We've been dating for almost 3 years. She has 2 kids from a previous relationship, 15-year-old female and 12-year-old male. Their dad is involved in their lives, and for the most part, the adults all co-parent and communicate well. I get along really well with the 12-year-old, but I have always struggled to build a relationship with my soon-to-be stepdaughter, Riley. She has made it very clear to me, my fiance, and her biological dad that she doesn't view me as a parent and doesn't want me to try and be a father to her because she already has one. A few days ago, my fiance sent me a text asking me if I could pick up Riley from school because she had something come up at work that was going to keep her late. My fiance usually picks up Riley once a week and brings her to a chiropractic appointment to help with a sports injury Riley got. She told me she would call the school to let them know that I would be picking Riley up because I wasn't on the approved pickup list yet. However, when I got to Riley's school, it quickly became apparent that my fiance forgot to call the school. The school has locked doors that require you to have a code or be buzzed in by the office. I buzzed into the office to let them know I was there to pick up Riley and that my fiance should have called to let them know. They didn't know anything about it. I was left waiting outside for 5-10 minutes while they figured it out. I tried calling and texting my fiance, but she didn't answer. Then the school resource officer, an actual uniformed cop, came out and told me that I would have to leave and that if I refused, then he would arrest me for trespassing. I tried talking with him, but he just kept saying I was not authorized to be on school property and that I had to leave. I had no choice but to leave without Riley. Finally, an hour later, my fiance called me back. I explained what happened, and she apologized for forgetting to call the school because she got distracted with work. She told me she would figure it out and meet me at home. When she and Riley got home, Riley went straight to her room. My fiance sat me down and told me that Riley had lied to the office and told them that she didn't know who I was and had never seen me before. She thought it would be funny. She told me she explained to Riley how dangerous that was and was going to work with Riley's dad to figure out a punishment. Needless to say, I did not take that news well. I admit I did raise my voice to her. I didn't yell, but I did get louder than I usually talk. She told me to calm down, and I told her that I won't calm down because her daughter almost got me arrested because she thought it would be funny. I told her that she's just as responsible for this as Riley is because she didn't call the school, and it put me in a position where I looked like a creep or predator. My fiance thinks I am overreacting and that I need to let her and Riley's dad handle this. Now for a few comments before the update. Comment 1, not the idiot. This girl is a intimacy attack accusation risk. She had no problem lying to the people in charge about not knowing you, which could have landed you in jail. This isn't child's play at all. You have two options. You can choose not to let this go. Your life and reputation could have been ruined because a teenager thought it would be funny. Demand to be part of the punishment discussions. The best bet is to leave mom. Lawyer up to prepare for the worst. Hope for the best. This girl can and will ruin your life. And all it takes is a mom, OP touched me inappropriately. Walk away. Love isn't worth the risk here with a child who has shown the ability and desire to ruin you because it's funny. Comment 2, not the idiot. Your fiancé majorly dropped the ball. She should have called the school the second she told you she wouldn't be able to get Riley. At 15, Riley should have also known better and needs some form of consequence. But it's her dad's and mom's place to handle the consequences, in my opinion, since you aren't married yet. Is Riley in counseling? If not, it would be wise for her to start. Your parent getting married while you're a teenager comes with a lot of emotions that are hard to navigate alone, and it will likely help. Now for the update, thanks for sticking around to hear more of this mess. So after the whole school fiasco, you'd think things would simmer down, right? Wrong. My fiance's ex, Riley's dad, decided to have a chat with me. He said I was making a mountain out of a molehill and that kids pull pranks all the time. He even had the nerve to suggest that maybe I was the problem for not understanding Riley's sense of humor. I was fuming, but I bit my tongue. I didn't want to cause more drama. But then the next day, I found out Riley had been bragging to her friends about the incident, laughing about how she had the school and a cop wrapped around her finger. It spread like wildfire, and suddenly I was the laughingstock of her friends' parents. My fiancé, still playing the mediator, said we should all sit down as a family and talk it out. I agreed, thinking maybe we could finally clear the air. The family meeting was a disaster. Riley rolled her eyes the entire time, and when it was my turn to speak, she interrupted me, saying I was just trying to play the victim. Her mom didn't do much to defend me either. She just kept saying we needed to move past this. I felt like I was being walked all over, and I did nothing about it. I just sat there taking it. A few days later, I came home to find my personal belongings had been rifled through. Turns out Riley had been snooping in my office. She found some old love letters from an ex and decided it would be hilarious to read them out loud at dinner. My fiancé laughed it off as teenage curiosity, but I saw it for what it was, a complete invasion of my privacy. I should have put my foot down, but instead I let it slide, just like everything else. I was starting to question my place in this family and my relationship. I felt like a doormat, and it was eating away at me. Then, as if things couldn't get any worse, my fiancé's ex dropped another news. He was moving out of state for a job opportunity, and he wanted to take the kids with him. My fiancé was devastated, and suddenly I was the one she leaned on for support. The irony wasn't lost on me. We're still figuring out what this means for us, for the kids, and for our future. It's a mess and I'm right in the middle of it, still feeling like I'm the only one who sees the problem. Thanks for listening. If you like this video, you'll probably like these too. Also, while you're here, please consider subscribing. It's your support that keeps this channel alive and allows me to make better and longer videos. Have a great day.